Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and I just got back from the new film, The Adventures of Tintin. Tintin buys a ship, and he finds out many people want it, but he's not sure why. As he investigates, since he's a newspaper reporter, or he's a reporter and an investigator, they never say what paper he works for, and it leads to a buried treasure where he meets Captain Haddock, and him and Snowy go on this adventure throughout many action set pieces in different lands. So you watch Rango and the cartoony character designs, and they're cool character designs, and you look at Tintin, and I don't really like the photorealistic kind of character design thing. I wish they had actually maybe had done more like the drawings, or done something interesting. I mean, I feel like the best animation was in the opening credits. I don't understand making it look photorealistic. It just kind of looked ugly to me. The camera's always moving, so you're always seeing this really defined, nice 3D. As a spectacle, it works very well, but the character of Tintin, I couldn't really relate to him in this film as much. I can relate to Haddock very well, and I think Andy Serkis is an incredible actor, especially with motion capture. He's like the Lon Chaney of motion capture. He was the character I connected with the most, and I would have seen a movie just starring him. You see Haddock fall down, he's like an alcoholic, he has a weakness. Tintin really doesn't, so he doesn't feel as human to me. I mean, it feels directly from the comic, but for some reason I can connect to Tintin more in the comic. And I felt like Snowy, even though he has like two emotions, looked a lot more expressive in the comic book as well. He's just not that interesting, so you kind of have to get past that, but for me it felt a little empty. It felt like I was having this kind of superficial experience with all these amazing action sequences in this 3D, but I wasn't like relating to Tintin at all, so it felt a little emptier. Daniel Craig, honestly, I felt it was Daniel Craig by way of Kevin Kline. It was really an interesting role as Rackham. I liked him a lot. With Spielberg moving his camera so much, his camera moves in all these incredible ways that it could never have moved, if they had really shot it. They're moving in this digital world and going through places it could never go through, and it's certainly amazing, but it almost, like, after a while it gets a little old. Like, I kind of feel like they should have slowed down at places. Mission Impossible, they really build to all these sequences, and I feel like Spielberg in this film is almost like Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes. It's like, and then he'll drive on this motorcycle, and the motorcycle will break, and then he'll be going on this wire on the motorcycle, and they'll flip over this, and he'll flip over that, and then he'll wind up on the docks, and Rackham's there, and he has Haddock tied up with Snowy, and then he'll push them in the water. None of this film felt like it had a nice 3-act structure, which I thought it could have maybe used a little more. It just felt like this happened, and that happened, and this happened. And really, how this movie, I think, works is if you're a 7-year-old kid and you love Tintin, I think you'll have an amazing time. But for all of us who are older, I don't think it connects the same way. Jamie Bell, I mean, he was as bland as Tintin was. I didn't really get his voice. I didn't much like it. I mean, I didn't really like his performance. I've never been that into him, frankly, but in this, I was just like, it could have really been anybody. And this was kind of like more spectacle than emotion. And I think Spielberg works best when he combines those two. And the stakes felt relatively low because they're just getting some treasure so they can have some money. With Thompson and Thompson, I kept trying to figure out which one was Simon Pegg and which one was Nick Frost. The whole time I was like, oh, that's Nick Frost and that's Simon Pegg. You can't really tell. There's not like one stands on the left and one on the right the whole time. Or maybe they do. I wonder. So if you have seen The Adventures of Tintin, you would like to talk about it, comment below in the comments, and subscribe if you would like to. I've talked to 2 different people in the last 24 hours, and when I mentioned Tintin, they think it's actually a remake of Rin Tin Tin. So, which is kind of interesting because I was like, but he's the center of the poster, but just because people think Snowy might be Rin Tin Tin or something.